Okay, I want to do a quick correction because we don't want to do fake news. It's questionable right now. This is 9:30 and I made that other video maybe an hour ago. What I did was I looked at all of the top stories. Today is September 10th, 2018. Tomorrow, of course, is we remember the infamous attacks on 9/11, as well as we memorialize those who had died. So we don't celebrate that, obviously, as a holiday. The Syria thing going on right now is a serious thing, and it's not new. And there have been multiple. I very rarely will take down a video, but if you see this video later on YouTube, it's because earlier I read a few reports that said in the province of Idlib, Syria, that Assad was accused or phosphorus was used, which is considered a chemical weapon. Some of the reports I read were like a British thing, and one was from the Wall Street Journal, which would be reputable. But they had video of bombings, which we do have some in previous instances in Syria. And then they had the reporting of the most recent threats, meaning in the last few days, President Trump had, through Nikki Haley, the UN ambassador, we told Assad, do not use chemical weapons in Idlib, or do not go overboard in trying to take back that province in Idlib, Syria. Okay, Russia last week said they believed that the rebels were going to use a false flag attack and use chemical weapons. Now, none of this is new, meaning this has all happened before. Assad, months ago, was accused of using chemical weapons. The U.S. Tomahawk missiles, we went and basically hit back. That was the threat that the U.S. made, and Mr. Trump backed it up. Okay, so none of this is new, but the report that I read was from 2 days ago on the Wall Street Journal, which was indeed, we told Assad, don't do it, and if you do, we'll respond. Whether that's happening now or not, because I have not read that on any other mainstream outlet, except the report, and it was 2 days old, from the Wall Street Journal. Some people put it together with video and made it look like it was today. By the end of this day, I'm not sure what will happen in Syria or any of these other cases. So what you might see this later is a little update on all of my video sites. But if it is not true, then I won't leave that video up. Because why would the mainstream media at times not report things? To make this somewhat profitable, this morning I was listening to the news on talk radio. And there's a couple of local talk radio guys. One is Bob Jones, who's a black minister. He's got a popular talk radio show on 1440 AM. There's another guy on 1360 AM at about the same time in the morning, Jim Lago on 1360. But the black talk show host, Bob Jones, was interviewing another black pastor. And it was very interesting because I caught maybe 10 minutes of it, but this black pastor was saying that he was liberal Democrat, many years, and that some younger black students had asked him some questions at one point in his, history of dealing with Christianity as well as politics. And the black minister said, he told the younger black kids that the reason they should support basically Democratic Party is because they are a party that stands for the minority and so forth. Then, over time, they asked him, give us some research on why you're such a strong advocate for the Democratic Party. And this other black minister on the talk show said, when he researched it, he looked at the history of the racism that was initially in the Democratic Party and the history of basically the Republicans being against slavery and so forth, which is not, that's a true history there. And so this black minister then changed his point of view and told the kids that had come to him that actually he was wrong, that he had believed that the history of the Democrat Party was pro-immigrant or pro-minority, and that he was mistaken. And then he had to correct his view. And as he was having this discussion on the morning show, he basically was one of many black people who looked at the history of why they would support a particular party. Now, I'm not advocating for black people to just support Republicans. The majority of blacks do indeed vote for Democrats. But he was an educated man, and he was, by the way, talking to another black minister who hosts the show, who's a conservative. Now, their viewpoints, I don't say I totally agree with their viewpoints, but their viewpoints were developed through educating themselves about the past, educating themselves about history, understanding that the history of the Democratic Party was indeed not pro-black. What the media would normally do in these types of conversations is they would either mock them or not give the respect that a black conservative is due. And that's because of bias. It's because of the way media operates. Why was I quick to jump on the possibility that once again we did something militarily in Syria and the mainstream did not want to report it? There are reasons why they might not want to report something like that. Why? The narrative right now in the mainstream media and in our country is what? That Trump is a puppet of Mr. Putin. Mr. Putin has inside dirt on Trump, and therefore Trump is going to do the bidding of Putin. You've seen cartoons of that in the Color Times, I've seen. So, the narrative, if Mr. Trump was tough on Russia, and which he was in the past, by the way, that would be something the mainstream media would be slow to report on. See? So you see how narrative plays. I didn't do a lot of teaching on the video, and nor will I do it on this one. This is like a news update. But Big Charlie, he was reading through Hebrews 12 and Jeremiah. And after I shut the video off, we could have done a little fellowship. He's not here right now. I got a few friends back there. And it was just good. It was some scriptures. People on the street, they struggle with a lot of them. But it was good. I didn't ask him to read it. And Stephen walked up and was asking me, what's he quoting, John? I said, well, he's reading Hebrews 12, which we could, of course, teach on. Now, I'm going to upload this as just like another, either a correction or, we don't want to promote fake news or false news. And so hopefully that gave you a little bit of an explanation. I do not report on stuff or speak on stuff unless I see something in some reputable paper. And I kept Googling and looking. There was a few British articles, but the main one was Wall Street Journal. And the Wall Street Journal actually had an article, but that was 2 days ago. And then it was put together with video of a previous bombing that Trump did, which I just described. But because I saw something on Wall Street Journal, and it was not the top story, it was a couple down for today, if you Google Wall Street Journal, that's what made me think that something might have happened, but they didn't want to give it top coverage. But because no other ABC, NBC, CBS, Fox, Drudge, every one of them I look at, none of the others reported it, so I'm going to do this as a correction, all right? I might take down that first video, but I'll leave it up just for a little bit so you guys can see that. And this you will see later today on my YouTube and all the other videos I make. And you might not get to see the original one. The original video simply said it looked like there was action today in Idlib province in Syria. It looked like the U.S. had responded and Assad indeed was accused of using chemical weapons. That might still be a story, but as far as I know, I can't verify it. So this will be a correction.